idea came to us in 2010. We were volunteering on an aquaponic farm, and then we thought, okay, this could work in any environment. It doesn't really need any agricultural land. There's like lots of empty rooftops in Cairo, and lots of people who might be willing to make some extra money. So we thought, okay, that'd be a really good combination to try to do it on rooftops. We have three different types of products that we offer. One is rooftop gardens, which is basically just ornamental gardens. It's about creating a green space in your home. A roof garden is a perfect place to create a new getaway for yourself. The other one are wall gardens. There you can grow different types of ornamental plants, and it's also for decorative purposes, for heat insulation purposes. The third product that we offer are roof farms, and this we do in underprivileged areas where we work closely with communities on growing vegetables and growing different types of crops and herbs. We also help them grow the plants, so we have like quality control, we give them training, and we also buy the produce from them and try to resell it.
The first challenge we had was what kind of technology are we going to use to be able to grow food on the rooftops. We started off with aquaponics. We had a little bit of experience through some volunteer work we had done on aquaponics. So we installed our first aquaponic farm on a rooftop. It worked for about 6 months, and then we noticed that it might not be the best technology for a city like Cairo. It's a mega city, and we also have some mega infrastructure issues like electricity cuts. So it wasn't very easy to have living fish on the rooftop, especially if you have electricity cuts. Fish could be affected very easily. So 6 months down the line, we decided to change to hydroponics, which is also a good technology for the rooftops. It's lightweight, and it also recycles water, so it's very efficient when it comes to water consumption. And that's exactly what we needed in a place like Cairo. It's in the middle of the desert. Actually, Egypt is one of the driest countries in the world. If it wasn't for the River Nile, there's almost no rainfall at all. So water is a very critical issue, and hydroponics gave us this opportunity to save a lot of water, especially when compared to traditional agricultural techniques. The first experiences we had, we thought, okay, how can we reach people in low-income neighborhoods or in the informal neighborhoods of Cairo? So we thought of teaming up with NGOs. There are lots of community NGOs in Cairo that work together with the local communities. They have a very good outreach with the people, and they're able to market the idea very well.
الأول المشروع كان من عن طريق GIZ، إنما بعد مع الاتفاق شركة شادوف. المشروع كان ذو 3 أهداف. الهدف الأول اللي هو المنظر الجمالي، الهدف الثاني اللي هو إن أنا أكل حاجات خضروات ورقية بدون مبيدات. الهدف الثالث إن هو كان استثماري. شقة تحت هنا الشمس نازلة عليها مباشرة، فما كانش حد بيطيق يقعد فيها. الجو بتاعها إلى حد ما أفضل من أول بكتير.
We quickly realized that hydroponics was the way to go forward, but hydroponics is actually a very expensive technology. If you thinking about low-income neighborhoods and using expensive technology, that's probably not the best thing to do. So we started researching in the Egyptian market, so what has been done so far and what are the technologies that are being used, and we found that the Egyptian Ministry of Agriculture actually had a rooftop farming program. So we went and we spoke with them, and we saw the technology that they were using. It was quite simple and relatively inexpensive. It was based on wooden tables that you could grow in different hydroponic techniques. So we chose a floating raft system as our growing method, and we found that it's quite easy to use, and people were able to learn it quite fast. And then going down the line, we thought, okay, these wooden tables are also expensive for low-income Egyptian households. So we tried to make an even cheaper system, and we started building brick let's say, grow beds on the rooftops that were also using a deep water culture. And this technology was quite effective and also very inexpensive to install. And we used that for several years, for several projects, like a project we had in one of the neighborhoods of southern Cairo called Basatin. In Basatin, we used this technology, and it was quite successful. We had several rooftops growing with that. We also grew some leafy greens on a mosque. And you can see more details about this mosque in the coming video.
أنا كنت بزرع هنا الأول في المسجد هنا من قبل ما شركة شادوف تجيلي، على أساس إنها تبقى خضرة وكده ونظافة فوق المسجد. أنا محمد طه من البساتين، مقيم في عزبة النصر وبشرف على مسجد الهداية. شركة شادوف عرضوا علينا إن إحنا نزرع هنا هو، ففكرة كويسة إن فيها ربح وكده، والربح ده بندخله في قلب الكفالة بتاعت اليتيم.
الشركة هادفة لزراعة الأسطح اللي في مصر كلها، فإحنا بنتعاون مع بعض الجمعيات الخيرية NGO عشان توصلنا للناس المحتاجة إنها تزرع السطح بتاعها.
هي فكرة كويسة بالنسبة للناس، تدي للمكان نظافة وبدل الزبالة اللي بتبقى فوق الأسطح، وفي نفس الوقت بتساعد زيادة في الدخل للناس.
كمان ان الهيدروبونيك ما بيبقاش فيه فقد في الميه زي الزراعات العاديه. الزراعه العاديه بيحصل لي فقد، انما الهيدروبونيك الميه موجوده في تانك، بيفضل يدور الميه ويطلعها وينزلها في السيستم. احنا محتاجين ان يبقى عندنا ثقافه حفاظ على الميه.
هما بيزرعوا في قلب ميه، وعلمونا ان ازاي نزرع في الكوبايات، وهم بيجوا كل فتره بيراعوا معانا الزرع، بس ما فيش اللي هو الكيماوي والكلام ده ما بيجيش هنا خالص. شركة شادوف لو توسعت والناس تفاهمت معاها ان هم يزرعوا فوق الاسطح، ده يبقى خير من الله وخير للناس، في نفس الوقت هتبقى نظافه ليهم هم، وتبقى الاسطح كلها خضراء. يعني ممكن تقعد كده اخر النهار هنا في قلب السطح، يعني تحس براحه نفسيه على الاقل.
As the project moved along, we realized that this very low-cost system that we were using was also quite labor-intensive. Because it was directly on the floor, which doesn't give you all the benefits of regular hydroponic farming, which means that you really have to be on the floor. People found it quite tiring after some time, especially with the heat here in Cairo. They found that in the summertime it becomes quite difficult to go on the rooftop and harvest their crops. From there on, we decided, okay, we're going to work with a product design company to help us improve our design and make it more, let's say, ergonomical, and still be in an acceptable price range. So we came up with a final design, which we just call the flat system. It's a very generic name, but it works for us. And this system is really very easy to install. It's very easy to carry up onto a rooftop, and we can install it in a few hours. We can have one of our systems installed. So when we're talking about the financials in low-income neighborhoods, financing the rooftop farm is a big issue. And we teamed up with different donor agencies who subsidize the majority of the cost of those farms. Like the GIZ, which is the German International Cooperation Agency. They funded several projects with us, as well as Drosos, which is a Swiss donor agency. We're working together with them on a really nice project in a neighborhood called Helwan, which is also south of Cairo. And in Helwan, we aim to install 500 farms by March 2020. So far, we've installed 420 farms. And there we also have a very intensive training program for all the rooftop farmers. We teach them how to grow hydroponically, and we also work together with an NGO, as I had mentioned earlier. It's one of our tactics. and we train agronomists at the NGO on how to supervise these farms, and there are regular visits that are being performed by the NGO agronomists to the rooftop farmers, and that's on the job training where they teach people how to grow hydroponically, and any issues they encounter will be solved on the job. We also teach people how to grow pesticide free, so really not using any harmful chemicals when you're trying to treat pests or manage your pests on the rooftop. Looking at a city like Cairo, it's really a massive block of concrete everywhere you look around you. There are not a lot of green spaces, but there are lots of big, empty, ugly walls. And when we looked at them, we thought, okay, we really want to change that. We want to see how we can change or transform the way the city looks like by creating lots more green spaces and spaces that are generally not even considered as a space. Something like a big wall, an outdoor wall, could be transformed into something that looks really nice and aesthetic, and I think it's part of human nature to be attracted to that green color. And that's what we started to do. We got a request from a client who asked us, can you install a green wall for me? And I'd never even heard of it. He showed me some pictures, and I immediately said, yeah, we can do it. I didn't know how we were going to do it, but it took us like 6 months of research and trials and tests until we figured out a good way that could be done here in Egypt, saving water, because it's really a critical issue for anyone. If you're going to waste a lot of water, it's obviously not something that you want to do in a climate like the one we have here in Egypt. So we introduced recirculating systems. So any water that's being not used by the plants and would normally go into the ground as runoff water is collected, filtered, and then reused again in the green wall. And because we're growing vertically, first of all, the plants, they use a lot less water, because any water that's not being used by the first plant of the row of plants goes down to the next one, and what's not used from that goes down, and so on. So the actual runoff is really very low if you're thinking about square meters per, let's say liters per square meter.
We use a material that's made out of recycled PET bottles to hold the plants together, and it's based on hydroponic principles. So we use very lightweight materials with no soil, almost no soil, and we create like the perfect environment for plants to grow vertically. The idea is that you also create an insulation layer, so the plants, they absorb all the heat from the day. So if this is on the facade of a building, you'd notice a drop in the heat. We also try to select plants that will withstand this kind of environment, growing vertically, smaller shrubs and things that will not require a lot of maintenance on a day-to-day basis. The entire system is automatically irrigated, so we have drip irrigation lines going throughout the system. We're trying to develop a smart irrigation system that's really based on the plant's needs instead of being just based on a specific time of the day. We want to measure the moisture which plants need at any given moment and then give it the water that it really requires instead of just giving too much water.
So our very first green wall project was actually very exciting because it was in the corporate head office of the largest Egyptian bank, and they had approached us with a request to have a nice roof garden, and we convinced them to have a rooftop farm instead of a garden. And in the beginning they were saying like, okay, we're a bank, why would we need any vegetables or any herbs, and it doesn't really make any sense. But I think we were really lucky to be able to convince them that actually it's going to look nice, and your employees can benefit from it by going up on the rooftop and taking care of the plants themselves. And at the end, the additional vegetables that you get, you can just give to your employees. So they bought the idea, and we really did it, and it was really a big success. We also convinced them to install the first green wall. So that was a really big jump for us because we hadn't done it before on a commercial scale. And our first client was a really big and important client. And one of the big successes for me was when that bank issued their sustainability report, our green wall was on their cover page. So that was something that was a really big achievement for me, or for the company. And going forward, they decided to implement green walls in all of their branches around Egypt. And now, that was in 2013. Today, in December 2019, the green wall has become a trend really in Egypt. A lot of the real estate developers or architects are using green walls in their designs. It's just become a product that is very well known in Egypt, and there are also lots of competitors for us today, which is something that actually makes me happy, because it just shows that we did a good job so far, and we hope to continue doing a good job in the future.